Hi guys, we're going to look at volume of prisms. A prism is a solid object with identical ends, flat faces, and has the same cross section along its length. And we'll look more into what those things actually mean when we get into it. What is volume? So before we found our perimeter, so that was the distance around an object. So if we're looking at this part, it'll be around there. Then we did area, which is the inside of that shape. Now volume is everything inside of a three-dimensional shape. So we have this storage container, and if we wanted to find out how much space would fit inside of it, that is the volume. And how we do that, we're going to look at that now. So let's say we have this square or rectangle, and we can find the area of that by finding the length times the width. And then the volume is pretty quite simple compared to that, because all we're doing is just extending the size to make it into a three-dimensional shape. So we call that the height. It can use other terms as well, so you might see breadth or depth, but it doesn't really matter what you call it. But that's sort of what we're going to call it for now. It's just the height of the prism. So the volume formula is quite simple. It's universal between all the shapes of the prism. When we were saying about prisms before, this is our flat surface, and it continues on the height. So if we cut that at any point along here, it's still going to be in this case, a rectangular prism. So for the volume, we're going to have the formula, which in this case is we're just going to have the length times the width and then times the height. Our common formula for volume is just V times by the area times by the height. So it's the area of the front piece, so that's this piece here, times by the height of the prism. So there's the two options here. We can see that A is length times width, so that's why we have that there. So let's look at that now. So let's say we have a storage box and we want to find out how much volume, or what this volume is. So we've got a length of 90, a width of 75, and a height of 75. So if we use this A equals length times width to find the area of the front piece, we're going to do 75 times by 90, which if you put that in the calculator gives you a number of 6,750 centimeters squared. Then we can find our volume. So the volume is the area times by the height. So our height is here. So we're just going to have our area, which is 6,750, times by 75, which is going to give us 506,250 centimeters cubed. And now we have cubed here, so that's 3. So centimeters cubed, it's important to remember that. Or we could just put it all straight into here. So we could do it all at once. So we have V equals length times width times height. So we have 75 times by 90 times by 75. And put the brackets there just to make it a bit easier, just to symbolize that is the area that you're calculating, and you come to the same answer. So you can either do either of those, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you feel easiest. You can do it with any shape. So as long as we've got a flat piece and it's a prism, so the front piece is the same, we can find it. So we have a kite here. We learned how to find the area of that before. So volume equals area times by the height. So the area of a kite is a half, or 0.5, times by the x section, which is this section here, times by the y section, which is that one. And then we're going to times it by the height for the volume. So we're going to have 0.5 times by 4 times by 6. When you work that out, it equals 12. We did that in the last video. It's the same one. And then we're going to times it by 2, which is our height. So 12 times 2 is just going to be 24. And just remembering those units, so kilometers cubed. Pretty simple. Even simpler still, let's say if we had this shape here. Now, there's no formula for working out a love heart, but you could do it if we had time. But we don't need to do that because the area is just 10 meters squared. So if you're given the area of the front piece, super simple. All you need is the height of it, and then we can look at our formula. So the volume equals area times height. So we already know the area, it's 10 meters squared, and the height, 3. So it's just a simple calculation. Volume equals 10, the area, times by 3, the height, and that will just give us the volume of 30 meters cubed. And just remember those units. And yeah, so guys, if you have any questions, come see me.